Well, the Edmonton Oilers get the job done in overtime. 3-2 is the final over the Montreal Canadiens. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Oil Stream post-game show. Tom Gazzola, Shawn Belle with you. Tom Gazzola live on location at Hudsons, West Edmonton Mall on Bourbon Street. Zachticum holding things down back at the EST HQ. 780-218-9999 if you want to text us. And then if you're watching on our YouTube channel, of course, the nasty chat has been going on for like the last 7 to 9 minutes. Not an approximate number there, Belzy, but I've watched the nasty chat for the last little while outside of complaining that I didn't start the show on time. My bad.
I feel like that's a bit of a running joke at this point. Like you're never on time. I saw one guy comment on the fact that you might have lost some hairspray. I kind of chuckled at that.
That person should know it's only Swedish hair cream that goes in this coif. So
yeah,
jokes on them.
Stuff right there, buddy.
Yeah, that's the good stuff. That's the good stuff for sure. Belzy, the Oilers get it done in OT. A lot of people, I was going to say, not that happy about the way the Oilers won, but listen, this is a Habs team that's gone to OT 22 or something like that times, and we had Arpon Basu on earlier from the Athletic Montreal, and he even said it. He's like, this is a team that all they do is exciting losses. The Montreal Canadiens. That's twice. That's twice. Both times the Oilers played the Habs this year, they ended up in overtime. Edmonton scoring on a power play in OT. I'll just start with this before we get into the scoring summary and game story. Should Oilers fans, Belzy, be disappointed in how Edmonton got its 2 points tonight?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, a win's a win, so you can't really necessarily complain about that. But, I didn't think that they gave their best effort. Like, I didn't think they were sleepy because we've seen the Oilers come out sleepy before. But this was kind of a team that, the last time they played was against Avalanche. It was high-powered. It was emotional. There was lots of different storylines about this is the best team versus the potential best team. And then they come out here against Montreal that isn't quite in that same caliber. And it almost seemed that they played down to Montreal's level. And that's where, they get in trouble playing a team like Montreal because – they just kind of hang around, and then all of a sudden, they start to pounce like you saw here in the third period where they scored these goals. And so it's, playing a team like that, it's important to obviously come out and play at your best because you can bury them early. But if you come out the way that the Oilers did, well, then you're always going to get into games like this.
All the credit in the world to the Habs for clawing their way out of a 2-goal deficit. I thought Edmonton was really in control for the first 2 periods, and then, they get that early goal. I didn't think that was a particularly great goal from Nick Suzuki, and then Montreal really started to bring it. Belzy, it almost sensed like I felt that Montreal kind of knew that they had an opportunity in a small window, and they took it. They just battled. They were quicker to pucks. They were harder on pucks, and they were like a dog on the bone, even though that they were outmatched skill-wise. Is that a fair assessment?
It is a fair assessment, but at the same time, it's just the way that the Oilers were playing. It wasn't like the Oilers, when they're crisp, they're a team that is in the upper echelon of the NHL. When they're kind of like playing their, their C plus game, their B minus game, like they make some mistakes, they kind of make some mental errors, and then they kind of miss like easy passes that they would normally be able to make. And you kind of saw that in this game. And as the time wore on, like they didn't get that 3-4 5-goal lead that they possibly could have gotten if they were sharp, which would have put this team away. But they just kind of like slowly crept along. It kept Montreal in the game. 2 goals is, in the NHL, it can swing at any moment. So you gave them a little bit of life. And then as soon as they scored that goal, boom, you saw all of a sudden, like you mentioned, they were dogs on a bone. They consistently were first to pucks. They were consistently, out hitting, out grinding. And that's where the game started to shift.
780-218-9999 or via the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube. The Oilers win it 3-2 in overtime over the Montreal Canadiens. Tom Gazzola, Shawn Belle with you, as well as Zachticum, who's back at the EST HQ making things work. Let's go to a couple of texts. EA says Columbus, then Buffalo, now Montreal. They're still not competing against inferior teams, and it's absolutely unacceptable. Yes, a win's a win, but that rhetoric should be thrown out the window tonight. It's an unacceptable performance all around. Play like that against Buffalo, and I can guarantee that it won't be a single point earned. EA with some harsh criticism for the Oilers tonight.
I like it. I don't mind it. Like I said, it's a win's a win, and right now in the playoff race, you have to collect those 2 points, and so you can't be upset about the fact that they got 2 points. But I'm not going to disagree with that comment at all. I feel like against the teams that are at the bottom end of the standings, I just don't see that same killer instinct that I do against the Avalanches of the world and some of these other high-end teams. And that's something that you want to see going into playoffs, because the minute you get to playoffs, and we've talked about this before, Tommy, is that you need to bring your A game, because the West is way too deep. It's way too good. And so you can't all of a sudden think you're just going to be able to flick this light switch on when all these other teams are grinding it out, trying to jockey for position.
The Oilers do, at the end of the night, have their 41st victory of the season. They improved to 41, 21, and 4. Here's how they got there. Connor McDavid, 26th goal of the season at 9:20 of the first period from Mattias Ekholm. The Oilers up 1-0. Then in the second, it was Adam Henrique, his first as an Oiler, 19th of the season from Ekholm. Great feed from the Viking. Evan Bouchard, the second assist. Bouchard, 50th assist of the season, Bellsy. My goodness, that goal coming at 14:55. And then here comes the comeback from the Habs. Nick Suzuki, 27th goal of the season. The Habs captain having a good year despite the team not so much so. Slavkovsky and Savard, the assists, just 32 seconds in. I did not like that goal. You could talk about the busted coverage. You could talk about the puck ping-ponging off of people and Pickard letting it slide under him. Not a great goal. Then the Habs, who continued to push, and they kind of sensed that they had a chance, like Bellsy was talking about, get an opportunity. Caden Gooley, the former Oil King, using one of the sticks that his old equipment manager found for him in the bowels of Rogers Place this morning, burying his 5th goal of the year from Evans and Harris at 4:43 to tie things up. And it was a lot of Habs in that third period. The Oilers had a few chances here and there, and then a late power play opportunity, 4-minute, gave the Oilers obviously a huge advantage, and it took a 3:18 into the extra frame. Leon Draisaitl, his 34th goal of the season from McDavid and Nurse. Game over. Edmonton wins it 3-2. McDavid, by the way, 82 assists on the season. On track for 100 this year. Would be the 3rd guy all time, if he does it, to make it happen. Or was it 4th? Gretzky, Lemieux, or McDavid is so 4th. My bad. I apologize.
Either way, just absolutely insane.
Bellsy, do you know how many guys have scored 70 goals plus in a season in the NHL's history?
Well, no, but I know that Teemu Selanne was one of them.
Yeah, 13 or 14 guys have done it.
Yeah.
All right.
And he's got more assists than those guys.
Yeah, 3 guys have gotten 100 points or 100 assists.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
It possibly will be the 4th. Shots on goal, 32-25 in favor of Edmonton. The Habs are way better on the faceoff dot, 58.8% to 41.2. The Oil power play, 1 for 5. The PK, 3 for 3. PK, good job. That's good. We like that. 28 hits for the Edmonton Oilers, 26 hits for the Montreal Canadiens. Block shots, 21-20 in favor of the Habs. Giveaways, 12 for the Habs, 11 for Edmonton. Takeaways, 7 apiece. Bellsy, I know you're torn. These are 2 of your old teams. But at the end of the night, Edmonton does walk away with the 2 points. What are those guys saying in the room if you were to guesstimate what is being said amongst the Oilers right now?
Well, I can just assume that they're basically saying, hey, we were able to claw one out, but we need that better effort. It is important to start to feel good about your game as you inch closer to playoff hockey. But once again, they're going to come in. They're going to say, listen, we did win this game. That was what our objective is. That's what sports is all about, to win the game, get your points. But it's the way that you come out. It's the sloppy passes, the turnovers, the lack of coverage, the lack of intensity, and that's kind of what you need to bring. And I think they're going to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, like, let's make sure that the next time we step foot on the ice, which is against Buffalo, let's bring that so that we can actually feel good about our game.
To those that are saying that this is a red flag or something that needs to be a huge concern to the Edmonton Oilers in regard to not being able to bury a team like the Montreal Canadiens, would you give credence to that argument, or would you say, yeah, I hear you, I appreciate that, but you have to give the Montreal Canadiens some credit? Because I feel like the Habs did this to the Oilers on January 13th. I would have loved to have seen Edmonton play a much more thorough game, Belsey, but
Yep.
Montreal kind of hung in there.
They kind of just junk it up a little bit, like they clog the middle of the ice. That's where the Oilers want to be. Oilers, they love to go east-west a lot of the time. Obviously, if you look at that last power play, they were basically overplaying that, that seam pass to Draisaitl. So they're trying to take that away. Everybody knows what they're trying to do. So, the ways to beat the Oilers is clog up the middle and make them try to get inside of you and, find that area and win the net front battle. Like they took Hyman away for the most part. Yep. I thought they did a good job of forcing things to the outside. And so you do have to give the Canadiens a little bit of credit, but at the same time, it really starts and stops with how the Oilers played. And once again, I don't think they were sleepy.
Yeah.
I just think that they weren't at their A+ game or their A game. I thought today was kind of a C+, B-, and, they're sitting there against a scrappy team that's not going to give up anything for free. And I think that was the tale of the tape today.
All right, 780-218-9999. Tom Gazzola, Shawn Belle, Zachticum with you. Randy, I see your text. Your texts. I'm going to have to read those while we run some audio because there's a lot to chew on there. So I'm going to go to a few others in the meantime, and I'll go back to that one, Randy. Randy always likes to poke the bear a little bit, Belsey, as you know. So I need to go over it to see what we're dealing with tonight on a Tuesday. Let's go to Dirty Curdy. Dirty Curdy says, Pickard continues with sub-3 GAA solid play. Win is a win, but very complacent marshmallow effort. Oilers soundly outplayed 5-on-5 for large stretches, and besides Carrick, the sandpaper was missing in the action. The PP in regulation, far too predictable, with the forced cross-seamers, or Royal Road Belsey, as you like to call it, and Nugent McDavid needing to be more of a shooting threat. Ekholm, solid effort, didn't mind Stetcher. Dirty Curdy with that one. I want to get to the sandpaper thing. Carrick gets the fight with Pezzetta. Good paisan right there. Really early to set the tone. I enjoyed that fight a heck of a lot. But in terms of like providing the jam, you talked about the Habs junking it up tonight, Belsey. Where was the jam from the Oilers in your opinion?
I thought once that fight happened with Carrick, I thought there was going to be some serious life injected into the Oilers, but it didn't work. It didn't happen. I thought they were just kind of, ho-hum. And the Oilers, and this isn't an issue from just this year. This is something that the Oilers they've had for, let's call it the last 3 years, where the teams that they know they should beat, they kind of come out and they're like, hey, well, we know we can beat you. Maybe we'll just turn it on whenever that happens.
Right.
And that's something that, once again, like, I think everybody's talking about. They need to learn from it and they need to do something about it. So that starts with the leadership group, right? And it starts with Connor McDavid, starts with Leon Draisaitl, knowing, hey, like, I understand that this is a lesser team, but we can't take these things for granted. Playoff push, home ice, we talked about, is way too important. And you just got to figure out a way to come out, whether it's a Monday or a Tuesday, and like get after it. And these are things that the Oilers got to fix. And if they don't fix it, we'll consistently have this same conversation in the nasty chat, the same conversation, on post game. And it's frustrating because you know that there's another level that the Oilers can get to if they decide to do it.
Shawn, the Oilers did win tonight, and they did. They were given a 4-minute power play. was what they did enough to qualify them, quote unquote, learning how to win these games? Or is it still kind of like, I'm not buying that right now?
Well, I think that they're more comfortable in 1-2 goal games than they've ever been. I think their lineup's been deeper than it's ever been. I think they added some pretty good pieces at the deadline, so they have the ability to play these games and to kind of grind it out. But I'm not interested in just getting by and having subpar efforts. Like, I never want to see that for an Oilers team. I want to see a team that's coming out and they're hungry, and it's like, we're going to set the tone. And Montreal, I'm sorry, as much as you want to junk this up, you're going to have to chase us all night, and that's what I want to see out of the Oilers. So yeah, I'm happy that they got the 2 points because they create a little bit more separation in that Pacific Division. They can, potentially or hopefully get more points to catch Vancouver, but I just want to see full octane, like high-end efforts all the time and just be that complete team.
I'm going to get to this one. I'm enjoying the nasty chat. I'm kind of looking at it on my phone, and then I'm going back to the text line back and forth.
I love it.
Yeah, you're seeing it's pretty good tonight. A little spicy. Yeah. I like the picante tone from some people. I think you can appreciate this one, Belsey, certainly. It's from Philly 420, says, WTF is up with the backhand passes tonight. Was it Sidney Crosby night? Did you see that, Belsey? Listen, man, there's skill, and then there's like NHL skill. And when you're trying to force backhand passes, does Philly 420 have a point there?
Oh, if it's dry, well, it's going to be a backhand pass. But yeah. I mean, for the most part, there's different ways, different skill sets that people are trying to teach, and one of them is absorbing contact and rolling off it, and therefore you see a lot more backhand passes than you ever have, and guys are starting to get comfortable doing that. But yeah, I mean, I didn't think the passing was the greatest.
No, I agree.
Probably the bigger issue, because if they were connecting on their backhand passes, we're probably not talking about this right now.
Exactly. We're probably having a nice little Tuesday. That's not the case. I like this one by Carmen K. Gill 97 in the nasty chat. Says, what should we complain about tonight, Tom and Sean? Well, Carmen, as you can see, there's plenty to get to. So let's do that. Let's go into the inbox 780-218-9999. If you're listening on iTunes or iHeartRadio, or tune in and our EdmontonSportsTalk.com live stream. You can text us there. And especially if you're driving home from the game tonight, maybe a little bit more with the heartbeat's probably racing a little bit more after that one. But ultimately, the Oilers get the 3-2 OT win. Bad Billy says, geez, Tommy, team was somewhat flat. D had a few bad moments. Great tilt with Carrick and Kane. Had a really good game, as did Pickard. Dry ends it after a game that was nowhere near the Colorado intensity. And Belsey, was I right in asking Ekholm this morning about that? I said, listen, you go from playing the Avs in high-end, Western Conference final type game to the Montreal Canadiens who are trying to finish the season strong. Is it tough to do? And he said, no, that's something we're supposed to do. And listen, Matthias Ekholm's a smart guy. I know, and I'm not trying to tee him up for anything or a trap question or anything like that, but it's like, listen, man, this isn't Saturday night against the Colorado Avalanche. It is the Montreal Canadiens, which is always a good vibe because there's a lot of Habs fans that are in Edmonton and get to these games, and there's a lot of bleu, blanc, et rouge in the building. But there's a drop-off, no matter how much guys want to not admit it, right?
I completely agree with you. There is a drop off. It's human nature to realize that you have this billing where it's, the immovable object and the unstoppable force, basically, with the Oilers and the Avs. This is a high octane game with some of the best offensive players in more or less the history of the game. So that these guys are going to be jacked up. They're going to be amped up for that game. So you saw them put everything they possibly had into it. And then you get Montreal on a Tuesday night, and historically the crowds are electric between these two teams. But today it wasn't quite that same level of intensity. So it's they sleptwalked through it a little bit. Mm-hmm. But once again, like Ekholm saying, they have to figure out a way to get through that, because there's going to be plenty of Monday nights, Tuesday nights in Edmonton against teams that aren't great. So let's figure it out. Let's get it going so that we're comfortable with where we're at once we get to the playoffs.
Yeah, there are some big high-intensity games coming in the rest of the way. And then there's also some games against what people would call dogs as well. So it's like this roller coaster ride, and the pendulum will swing back and forth in terms of level of competition. If you let your foot off the gas, you get what happened tonight, which is a 3-2 OT win. All right, let's go to Shaggy in St. Albert. Shaggy texts in, says, if there is a moral loss from a victory, the Oilers showed how to do it. Once again, get outworked by weaker opponents. That is the identity of this team. Skate by with superior talent with least amount of effort. EST team talks about an Avs-Oilers matchup. Don't worry about it. Oilers not making it to the West Final. Belsey, Shaggy isn't the only one who feels this way, because how they lost the other night, the lack of intensity in overtime on that last goal by Lehkonen with 0.5 seconds left. Like, is it legitimate, in your opinion, for Oilers fans to be concerned with how the Oilers don't really dial it up, and they're very limited in how they pick and choose when to do so?
Well, I didn't get to watch the Oilers Avs game, unfortunately, because I was busy. But from all recounts and highlights, it was kind of a back and forth effort. There was some intensity to that game. Now, obviously, the one goal that happens, like, is it a situation where guys were on the ice for a long time? Like, what happened in that circumstance for them to score and for them to drop off of the intensity? So I can't really comment on that portion, but I do know this. In every locker room across North America, or actually across the world, they say that good teams find a way to win.
Yeah.
That's what they did today. They found a way to win, and you're not going to have your A+ effort every single night. And I understand that. And we want that as fans. We want that as the media. We want that as people in Edmonton, to give them that A+ effort. Unfortunately, it is what it is. They didn't have it. So they found a way to win. And that at the end of the day, I think is the biggest piece of the puzzle, is that they found a way to win. Now,
right,
since we've done it, can we now fix this moving forward? Because at some point, it just becomes insanity when it's the same conversation over and over again.
Right. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I'm going to read a couple of nasty chats. I'm enjoying this. Neil Garrity and Snars Tax are a little frustrated. Let me enlighten everybody. Neil says, stop reading the stupid comments. Snars Tax says, judging a team's chances in the playoffs by the rating the victory of a subpar win is stupid. Neil, I'm trying to give you a taste of everything that's coming in right now. There's people that are pro Oilers and super happy about the win, and it's all good. And then there's others that are just dismantling this victory. We're trying to find the happy medium, Neil. We're trying to find the happy medium here. So,
and the happy medium is they found a way to win. Let's see how we can fix that moving forward.
There you go. Belsey, thank you. 780-218-9999. Ryan from Saskatchewan says, Connor, Hyman, and Kane pushed in whomever they were on the ice, according to the analytics. 89% expected goals for, and 5-0 high danger chances. The rest of the forward lines were hot garbage. Nice game from Pickard. A win's a win. Ryan from Sask on that one. This text it's an ongoing joke, and I love it. One game in a row, dickheads. Thank you to that texter who continues to be consistent with calling us that name. Let's go to this one. Says, yet again, we got to love the Oilers playing to the level of their opponents. Again, wonder how they fare against the Northside men's Div 6 Beer League champs. It would be a close game. The answer to that assumption is no, it wouldn't be. Belsey, I missed you at the alumni skate today, and anybody in their right mind who thinks that they're good at AMHL Div 1 and could play against NHLers is out of their frickin' mind. I will just say that.
No comment on that one.
Fair enough. Mel texting in. Mel says they need to have at least a threat of something other than Leon's one-timers on the power play. Of course, that's how they win it. But man, does that play feel forced. So that play feeling forced that Mel says, I don't disagree with Mel on that at all, Belzy.
Yeah, I don't disagree either. I think they do have to just change some things up. And when Connor or Nuge are on the left-hand side, like I'd like to see them attack a little bit more, shoot the puck. You did start to see that towards the end where, right before OT hit, where Connor took a couple pucks to the net, Nuge took one to the net, so they were trying to make themselves a threat because I think Montreal did a really good job of overplaying. Now, the crazy part of this whole thing is that I completely agree. However, they still won based off of that exact same play. And if you go around the NHL, there's this guy named Ovechkin who literally stands in the exact same spot, and he is in the hunt for the most goals in history of hockey. So if it works, continue doing it.
Yeah. If I said this to you, or it's something that's crossed my mind because I'm with Mel on the they really do force that.
Yeah.
Do you think that they might be saving something for the playoffs when they do get actual power plays, or is that kind of nonsense and like a dream world that I'm kind of tapping into in my mind?
I wouldn't say it's nonsense. I do think teams hold back a little bit some of the tricks that they want to unveil for the playoffs. You haven't seen as many Bouch bombs, but generally speaking, that gets set up from the right hand side because you want to put that thing on a T-ball stand. So I think that's part of it, is that you're trying to get it over there. So whether Leon one times that puck or he kicks it back up to Bouch, like I think those are their two one-time options. And then from there, like you've got Connor, and Connor draws so much attention because of who he is that sometimes they have to play Connor, and sometimes those seams open up. But you do have two options with Leon's one-timer and Bouch's, but unfortunately, they both get set up from the right-hand side of the ice.
All right, 780-218-9999. The Oilers win 3-2 in overtime. Draisaitl power play goal in OT. Classic Draisaitl seam pass through Royal Road, as Belzy likes to call it, and he converts. Now, I want to get to this text from Barry the Cheater. It says, so the struggles the Oilers have had in their last two games is that from the new players coming in, figuring out where exactly they fit in and other style game matches the Oilers. Belzy, you've been part of a trade deadline deal a couple of times. You've had to amalgamate late in the season in the NHL to a new team. How much of an effect do two guys really have on a group like Barry the Cheaters is wondering about?
I think these guys, they have a solid leadership group already. So I'm pretty sure that for these guys coming in, they don't have to become leaders of the team. They just have to figure out a way to be a part of the group. And I think for both of these players, they've already said that they knew multiple guys on that team. So it's not that hard to get introduced to the team, especially when you have a group that welcomes you with open arms, and you see it. Like, both these guys are contributing. It's not a situation where they're having a tough time trying to figure out what they do well. Like, they're coming in, they're getting used in good spots, and it's starting to work. And I don't necessarily think that they aren't accustomed to the style of play the Oilers are. Yeah, the Ducks are a little bit different, but the Ducks were still, they had some young talent that like to run and gun. It's not too far away from what Edmonton is doing stylistically. So Carrick will bring your game to what it is. And that's hard-nosed hockey. That's grinding. It's physical. That can go in any lineup. You don't need to, you're not trying to figure out, okay, well, yeah, we're high octane. Well, I'm going to run somebody through the wall. That is universal.
Sam Carrick with the early fight against Michael Pezzetta, and then we saw Adam Henrique score his first goal as a member of the Oilers. Freezer bag via the nasty chat. Freezer bag. Tom, can you talk more about the magic stick that was in storage? Did you see what the Caden Gooley thing?
No, I didn't. No.
So he ran out of his preferred sticks. He
Yeah.
switched to Bauer, and the last one broke in Calgary. He's having a new batch sent. However, they're going to Vancouver, not here. And he asked Rogan Dean, our mutual friend, if Rogan had one of his old sticks from his Oil King days kicking around, and Rogan had one in storage. Gave it to him
And then the guy
tonight,
scores.
and he
Somebody's got to
scored.
go knock on Rogan's door right now and be like, why did you do that?
Rogan texted me. He's like, I have a meeting with HR tomorrow. I said, just show them the invoice that the Habs paid for it.
No kidding. You better freaking upcharge that one.
Right? I just thought that was funny. And listen, how tough is it to? I mean, how different is that stick? I'm assuming it's not that different from what he's trying to use right now.
Well, I mean, there's different feels, patterns, all that kind of stuff. It was like when I was up and down, I would use a CCM team stick down in the minors, and then I'd use a Bauer when I came up here. It was still the same curve, but the feel of it, the flex of it was completely different kick points, all stuff like that. So it's not the easiest, but at the same time, it's like riding a bike when you have that stick coming in. So he used it for a long time throughout junior, and clearly he knows how to use it. Although I do think he was shooting shelf and he shot low.
Nice read, Belsey. Nice read. Let's take a couple of texts here, and then we'll see if we have some audio and video to get to. Zachticum, shoot me a text. Let me know if we do have some clips yet from the Oilers locker room following their 3-2 win over the Montreal Canadiens on a Tuesday night down at Rogers Place, of course, taking overtime to get the job done. Draisaitl the winner tonight. Hampton Steve says, Tommy, the Oilers should be thankful they got 2 points tonight. Take the points and run an effort like that against Buffalo on Thursday, and they won't be as lucky. Mike in Thunder Bay says, as usual, Edmonton played down to their opponent, whereas Montreal brought their best against Edmonton, as all teams like to do. If Edmonton wanted to, they could have dominated. They let Montreal into this game. Mike from Thunder Bay, thank you for staying up late. As always, my friend. Big Dave chiming in says, hello, Tommy and Belsey. Didn't love the game, but a win is a win. My big concern is the power play being so stale and them going 1 for 5 against the Habs PK, which came into tonight 27th overall. It's been talked about for a while, but we haven't seen any shakeup yet. I think they need to do anything before playoffs. That's from Big Dave. We kind of talked about it a bit, but Belsey, how do you change a power play that comes into action tonight, second in the National Hockey League? Riddle me that one.
It's funny you say that because they have so many different looks on the power play. So you're not necessarily changing anything other than the fact that you let McDavid kind of freelance and do what he does. Like you started to notice it in the game where, things weren't happening from the left-hand side of the ice. So then all of a sudden he started carrying it to the opposite side, which opened up holes and guys were starting to roll a little bit more. So McDavid knows what he's doing. I'm going to trust that guy considering he's the best offensive player in the league right now. And that's your subtle change. I mean, they'll figure it out. Last year they were historic. This year they're second.
Yep.
It's tough to argue with that.
All right, we're going to go inside the Oilers locker room, but before we do that, we want to remind folks that portions of this hour brought to you by 100.3 The Bear, our dear friends, Edmonton's best rock. Listen to the Nielsen and Yukon Jack and McCord hit every morning, and check out Jess Jackson on your way home from work every single afternoon. We absolutely love them. Great to be partnered up with our good friends over at The Bear. Please do check them out. Dusty doing a hit with them every single morning. All right, let's go into the Oilers locker room. Let's hear first from Matthias Ekholm.
2 points, but maybe just what was your sense of what happened in the third period there and kind of how that got away from you a bit?
Yeah, obviously they get a great start with that first goal, a bit of a lucky bounce, and that happens at times. And when you do get that start, you know what it is, a team that maybe have lost more than they've won this year, and they get that good start. They're in the game again. They're feeling great about themselves, and they just kept coming at us, and we couldn't really weather the storm there for a bit. So that's on us to learn from, and something that we'll have to be better at. But as a whole of a game, I think the first was clearly our period, and I thought that the second was pretty even. So if you look at it over 60 minutes, pretty even game, but I thought obviously us staying disciplined towards the end helped us.
Better to have some lessons learned on a 2-point night, though.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's with some of experience throughout the years in this league, it's easier to learn from when you still win and can feel good about it. So, yeah, absolutely.
Do you think they would have called that penalty on the Henrique if you hadn't gotten the officials' face to say, what about that high stick?
No, I saw it right. Yeah, no, I saw it right away. So I figured they'll have to call it. Usually that's what they do now, right? Like they lean on it. They call a 4 and then they review it and then they get it right, which is perfect. I mean, I'm not sure if they would have gotten together or not, but I thought I saw it right away. So I might as well make sure they blew it down and took a look at it.
Pretty loud crowd for a game in the middle of March. Just wanted to know how playing at home against a crowd that almost seems like it's cheering against you with a lot of Canadiens fans.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously something new for me too, being here only my first year. So these Canadian teams seem to travel really well, and there's a lot of credit to the Montreal fans too. How many of them were here tonight? But it's obviously great to win in front of our fans, and I thought that the atmosphere was great.
Goal for Henrique, fight for Carrick once again. Stetcher playing in that second unit. Just talk about some of the deadline additions and how they're settling in.
Yeah, it's been great. I think they're, first of all, great human beings, and they fit in the group really well. And obviously now takes a couple of games, and now you can really tell what kind of players they are and what they bring to our team, and it's going to be huge for us.
2 straight games where you give up third period leads. Is that something that you got to go on video to figure out, or is that something that guys figure out between themselves?
I mean, I guess that's the way you can look at it, but I thought the Colorado game we fought back too, so that was just a matter of both ways, I guess. In my opinion, both those third periods are very far from each other. I thought the one game we were dialed in, obviously it was a Saturday night, big opponent, all that stuff, and today maybe more lack of I don't know. It was one of those nights where I thought the third was a little casual, so to speak, but I do think we can learn from it and move on.
There's a lot of hype for the Saturday game. Is it a little bit harder to get up for this one just because of, the opponent and where they are in the standings and because of the hype of the Saturday game?
Well, it definitely shouldn't be, but I thought the crowd helped. I thought that for instances and for moments in the game, I thought we were really up for it, but then obviously there wasn't enough consistency, and that's on us to fix. But usually when you play a big game, there is a little bit of breathing room in there, and that's on us to take care of.
All right, that was Matthias Ekholm setting up Adam Henrique for his first goal as a member of the Oilers. One thing, Belsey, he said, we got to learn from this. What are they going to learn from a situation like this tonight?
I think just not sleepwalking. Not being casual, like you mentioned. That's actually a great word. It was casual. That's exactly what it was. And, like we mentioned earlier, is that you have a team that comes in. They're not as high in the standings as the team that you previously played. They junk up the game because they know they got to try to slow down McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman and all these guys. So they have to make the Oilers stay to the outside. And you got to figure out ways to rise to the occasion against teams like that. Pure and simple. Win's a win. He also mentioned that, but you got to be able to rise to the occasion and take care of business in the correct fashion because you want to feel good about yourself, which he also mentioned.
Can you feel good about yourself after a win like this, Belsey?
I think you still do because a win is a win, and that's what sports is all about. Is like you don't necessarily critique the win. It's just the fact that, hey, we wanted to play a little bit better. Okay, boys, what are some of the things that we can do to fix that? And, okay, well, maybe we just need to get into it a little bit quicker. Maybe we need to be more physical coming out of the gates. Maybe we need to learn how to weather the storm a little bit better that they brought in the third period. Like, those are all teachable moments as opposed to like, hey, well, let's just destroy this win because we're not happy with the way that we played. There is teachable moments all throughout it.
All right, well, there you go. You and Matthias Ekholm on the same page. I'm glad you could articulate that. I knew you'd be able to. Let's go back inside the Oilers locker room and start off. We've got a few guys to get to. We're going to go Zachticum to Leon Draisaitl, please, and thank you.
Not necessarily, but yeah, stuck with it and obviously got little fortunate in overtime there, so we'll take it.
But, the power play, is it just a matter of, probably gets frustrating at a certain point, but just kind of staying with it, Leon, knowing that it'll be there?
Yeah, we still had our looks today, but teams are obviously hyper aware when we're out there, so it only gets harder and harder, but stuck with it and eventually got one.
What would you say about Calvin Pickard's job tonight, kind of hanging in there?
Yeah, amazing. Gave up too many looks, too many chances probably, and he was there when we needed him.
They're a hard-working team. They came at you really hard in the third period. They played like a team that was in the playoff hunt, even if they're not.
Yeah, for sure. It's a team that has nothing to lose, right? Lots of skill. They're playing well, so obviously we'd like to handle that third period a little better, but sometimes that's just the way it goes. We'll take it.
You'll probably see a lot of this down the stretch too, right? For teams that have nothing to play for, they can be very dangerous all the time.
Yeah, it is dangerous. I think in the past we've found ways to lose those games, and kind of let frustration sink in a little bit. So we'll take the 2 points, but obviously there's lots to do better.
Leon Draisaitl there didn't sound too overly content, Belzy, with the victory. You take anything away from what he said?
The rhetoric is exactly the same as Ekholm. It's, we won. Yes, there's teachable moments, and we need to learn how to fix those things. And he mentioned before, in the past, they would get frustrated in a game like that, and they might let that slip away. But now they've kind of corrected that. And here we are talking about it was sloppy. It wasn't the best effort. They're not super happy about the fact that they won the way that they did, but they won. They'll take the 2 points, and they've already had the teachable moment. Here's some other ones that we can now bring in, and let's go from there.
All right, Mark Texan says, Leon proving you don't need a good game, just a 5 good second span, and whoever gave Leon the first star over Ekholm was not watching tonight's game. Thanks for that text, Mark. And then Road Dog Trev says, best part about beating the Habs, seeing all their fans leaving the arena. They might be the most annoying fan base in the league, worse than the Leafs. From Road Dog Trev. P.S. Idiot in section 215. Don't try the wave in a 2-2 game because I'm shutting it down. Belzy, your take on that?
I ban the wave.
Ban the wave.
Hate it.
Get it out of here. Oh, God, I love it. That is
Nothing
terrible.
Nothing but problems with that wave.
Road Dog Trev saying Habs fans are super annoying. You played for both teams. I've seen Leafs fans. I've seen Canucks fans. Flames fans here. They can piss Oiler fans off. I've seen it.
Oiler fans piss Oiler fans off. There was a fight tonight.
No.
Swinging for the fences. I sent you the video already.
You did? Oh, my God. Where? Oh, okay, I'm going to have to watch. Did you send it via DM?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I'll check it out. Why? It's so disappointing. You and I are from this city, Belzy. You played for the damn team. I worked for them for so long. Why do they fight each other? I don't get
understand.
It. I don't know.
Guys, we're on the same team.
We're from here.
Unreal.
God. Thanks for sending that. All right, Zachticum, let's go to Adam Henrique, who scored his first goal as an Oiler tonight.
Stick there at the end. It's kind of a difference for the team at the same time.
Yeah, it's, just kind of a bit of an odd play. Us three guys kind of coming together and just catching the stick. Fortunate enough, it's just, everything's okay up there. And, we'll take it for the man advantage there at the end.
How have you felt things have been going? The offense a little bit slow to come, but you get on the board. That's got to feel good. How'd you feel about your game?
Yeah, you know what? I felt my game's been good. Of course you want to score. Coming into a new team and that sort of thing, and you want to find ways to contribute. But I think for me the focus is that you want the complete game to be there. We've had some high-tempo games, and I felt great in those games and making sure – adjusting well to the systems, and the guys have done a great job talking to me through everything. So I felt my game's been there. Certainly nice to get on the board tonight, and then we can't give up that first one in the third period. I thought the first shift is aligned, but other than that, overall, I feel like my game's been pretty good since I've been here.
Getting some time on the penalty kill here. I know you penalty killed a lot in Anaheim. Just how is it getting used to the systems here in Edmonton?
Not bad. It's fairly similar. And again, it's just kind of a language thing, really. How the coaches talk about certain things and what they call or certain plays and that sort of thing. Understanding the difference, and then penalty kill is penalty kill. You're trying to either put pressure or sit back. And again, the guys on the kill that I've been killing with have done a good job talking to me throughout the whole thing.
Adam, to follow that up, do you feel your responsibility kind of growing here as you kind of get into the witnessing?
Yeah, I think as at deadline, good teams add people, and bottom teams lose guys, and in a team there's roles throughout the entire lineup, I think, and coming in a new team, it's you want to be able to adjust quick and try to settle in a somewhere in the lineup. But things do change, sometimes minutes are less. There's no power play, or you're on the penalty kill, or on the third or fourth line. But it makes the team deeper, and I think it makes the team more challenging as a whole, and certainly something that we're willing to sacrifice a bit to make this team better and make a big run.
Is this easier for you to say, okay, I just need to be set as the third center, as opposed to being line and then maybe in center? You're playing center.
Yeah, I think we had 3 centermen on our line tonight. So I think being able to play with centermen makes it much easier. If one of those guys is down in the defensive zone, then I'm on the wing and we adjust. And it's certainly nice having a right-handed guy that takes faceoffs too on the line tonight.
How's the nose?
Fantastic.
Feels better with the win, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So hey, we'll take it. Any way you can contribute to a win, we'll take it.
There's Adam Henrique, a couple of blood boogies in his nose. tough night for him. He's a good-looking dude, man, but his face keeps taking a beating, and he does pick up his first goal as an Oiler. He has a goal and an assist. He's +1 in 6 games in Edmonton. And Bellsy, you didn't even listen to his interview, but, man, you guys said a lot of the same things.
It's weird. Yeah. It's a young up-and-coming team in Anaheim that, tries to play an up-tempo game. You come here a little bit older of a team, but they want to play up-tempo. A guy like Henrique, who is an honest, hardworking guy that's got skill. He's got some sandpaper. He slots in perfectly to that third line. And voila, you got a guy that's been playing really good hockey. He scores his first today, but it's almost a seamless fit. And part of that is the fact that he knew guys before. So it's actually really impressive to watch him come in and how professional he's been, and just the way that he's conducted himself, and the way that he's been able to just literally roll right into it and not have a dip in his play.
A good veteran guy finding his way with the Edmonton Oilers, and we'll see how that continues to blossom. Nick Raz via the nasty chat, which is getting a little salty, I have to say, says, "This is the NHL. There is no such thing as an easy game." And Bellsy, that tees up my next question for you before we say goodbye to you for filling in, because you've been absolutely tremendous as always. People have said, if you play this way against the Buffalo Sabres, they're going to own you on Thursday night. So with that in mind, because I've seen it in the nasty chat and I've seen it in our text line, with all that we've discussed, seen, heard from today, what would you say to that statement from those that might be of that mind?
I would say that the Oilers on a Thursday night game have to come out and they have to play their best, because like Ekholm and Dry said, we want to feel good about ourselves at the end of the day. So they need to come out. They need to understand what they did wrong today. They need to understand that we can't be casual coming into the game, and let's put our best foot forward, because if we do that, we'll handle the Buffalo Sabres. Also, I've got a little revenge in my mind with the fact that the Buffalo Sabres did beat me when I came in, into their house. So now you're coming into our house. Okay, let's put the gas pedal down and get after them.
I like the atoning and the vengeful, spiteful attitude that teams take into the next game after facing and losing to a team
100%.
a couple weeks. To me, that's the best. It makes you that much more pissed off, and it usually creates better hockey. So we'll see if we get that on Thursday night. Bellsy, phenomenal work as always, my friend. We'll catch up with you Saturday on Hello Hockey. We've got a great show for you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Always a pleasure.
In for Matty Cassian tonight. Great work as always from Bellsy. All right, keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. We do have a couple of things to take care of before we get to Chris Knoblauch. I want to get to a new segment that we have now. It's called the Big Save of the Game, presented by Christopher Boyle, business owner, tax saver. Chris Boyle strategically works with both businesses and families with strategic planning and risk management. Like a goalie, Calvin Pickard, protecting the net, shielding your paycheck from unforeseen events like illness or hospitalization, and ensuring your family's financial stability in the face of unexpected circumstances. And also, for a chance to win playoff tickets, scan a QR code that should be up on the screen in the corner of the screen, or visit christopherboyle.net/postgame show. There it is. I see it. Zachticum right on top of it. Zachticum, you get the Christopher Boyle save of the game.
I feel absolutely honored getting the Christopher Boyle save of the game and get to pick it as a new segment here on the post-game show. And there is quite a few saves that I saw. Some of them coming from the Canadiens. I wasn't going to pick one of those, but a couple in mind in the first and second. Pickard, stopped 16, I think, entering into the second period, if I'm not wrong, or entering into the third, my apologies, exiting the second. And once it became a 2-2 game, the save where Josh Anderson walked out into the middle, had time to shoot, and it just caught under the armpit of Pickard, and he was able to keep it in between his legs. I think that was the save of the game, because if that went in, the Canadiens would have been ahead, and they had full momentum, full swing at that time in the first 5 or so minutes of that third period, and I think that save in the third period from Calvin Pickard is tonight's big save of the game for Christopher Boyle.
Nicely done. Scan that QR code in the bottom of the screen, and that's a chance to win playoff tickets heading into April. Also, if you're listening, visit christopherboyle.net/postgame show to enter to win. So that is the Chris Boyle big save of the game. All right, Zachticum, let's go to head coach Chris Knoblauch.
On line changes, having Nuge down on the third line and Kane up on the first line, how that worked out tonight?
Yeah, we wanted a little more of a shutdown line tonight with Rico and Nugent Hopkins and DR in that role tonight. And Nuge is so reliable, smart, move the puck, hardly ever turns the puck over. So that's what we were thinking, and I think he's a guy that can move up and down the lineup, whether we want him scoring, creating offense with Davo, second-line centerman. The other night, playing with Clowder and Folks, they scored a huge goal in the third period, kind of catalyzed our comeback, which fell short in overtime. And then tonight, third-line left winger, playing with Henrique, Ryan. I don't know, it's just it's nice to have a versatile player like that.
Yeah, and two games, two third period leads, or games where you give up the lead in the third period. Just thoughts on how Montreal played and how the team responded in that third period.
Yeah, credit to them not giving up. They get a bit of bounce on the first goal, driving the net, goes off a skate. Unfortunately, we were just weren't as quick on pucks, and they won the race. They had the puck a lot more than we did tonight.
Carrick ends up with a scrap. Henrique scores the goal. Stetcher's in tonight. Maybe just a thought on what you got from some of the new additions.
Yeah, we got the contributions that we won. That's what we're looking for at the deadline, and having a little more depth. First of all, Carrick, not only the fight, but I thought he was so good with the puck tonight. There was a lot of times we were in the defensive zone, puck's on his stick, and where a lot of guys would panic. I thought he made a lot of really good plays to get us out of trouble. and we used him on the face-offs for a lot of key situations. Penalty kill, he won a couple off that. Defensive zone, so it's nice having that that kind of role with our team.
Calvin Pickard once again gives you a start that probably has you thinking about getting him more.
We've been happy with Calvin right from the start, and I think the only time I've ever been where maybe he was falling short, and it was when our team wasn't playing very well defensively. In the December, there was back-to-back games. I don't know, he gave up 4 or 5 goals, and certainly wasn't by his fault. It was just the way the team was playing in front of him. But he's been so solid and played very well for us. So he's a lot of confidence when he's in the net for us.
Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. It just seems like every game, Adam Henrique gets a little bit more responsibility. Is that by design? Is that how you see things as well? How have you kind of felt the first 5 or 6 games that he's played here as an Oiler?
Yeah, as coach, you're always trying to find out how to use somebody. And those responsibilities are getting more and more because, probably the biggest thing on getting that extra minutes, everyone's 5-on-5 minutes is very similar. It's the extra ice time comes for special teams. Now he's on the second power play unit, which gets a little bit of time. Now we're using him on the penalty kill, and now, tonight he was kind of a shutdown role, so there's a few more shifts. And a player like that, just coach likes and wants to use more and more as you get to know him.
Do you see him kind of locked into that center role? Do you envision moving him around and trying him on the wing anymore?
Yeah, I don't know what we'll do. I guess we're going to look at the game. Sometimes I've said, I love this guy, and I watched the tape the next day, and I fell a little shorter than I thought. But I think it's important to have 3 quality centermen, and 4 for that matter. But usually it's 3 who get the majority of the ice time playing regularly. And I think he gives us that depth that we need.
Chris, the power play did score the winner, but until then, Montreal did a good job. Was it a case of them winning a lot of face-offs? Leon usually wins the face-off. You set up and away you go, but they were winning a lot of
They did.
defensive zone face.
That first face-off's key. And, I have a lot of respect for Suzuki. I think he was taking most of them. Maybe Evans a few of them, but, when you don't start with the puck, it makes it a little more difficult. And what I liked about a power play is, we had our opportunities to win the game. The end of the third period, most of the overtime, guys stuck with it and come up big with the goal.
Thank you.
Just one last one. I just wondered from your vantage point what you thought happened there on the second goal. It seemed like everyone was on the one side of the ice. Can you maybe break it down?
Yeah, it was difficult for a defenseman. Defenseman was following the stretch guy coming across, and there's a point where he needs to release him. Makes it difficult where the guy that was coming with a lot of speed comes in later. Just tough to pick up.
All right, that was head coach Chris Knoblauch following his team's 3-2 overtime victory over the Montreal Canadiens. They did blow a 2-goal lead in the third period. However, Edmonton gets the job done on the power play in OT. 780-218-9999. You can text us. Nasty chat's still going. People getting spicy with one another. Everybody love everybody. Belsey sent me a video from tonight at Rogers Place. Oilers fans fighting with Oilers fans. Never good to see. Always disappointing. Be better. Be better. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know what happened there. I don't have the details. Just be better. All right. You can keep those texts coming in. We'll probably get to a few more before we wrap. Tom Gazzola and Zachticum with you. I'm on location at Hudsons, West Edmonton Mall on Bourbon Street. Big thank you to everybody here. The staff, fantastic. Steve and Adam, the managers here. Jeff, Colby, bartenders, as well as Kylie, Jackie, and the rest of the crew. Absolutely tremendous. Norman, a combine, and the whole damn family came down, and it was great to see them. They will be on location on White Avenue on Saturday, where we're going to have our next watch party. We'll also be on White Avenue for Thursday's game as the Oilers take on the Buffalo Sabres. All right, we do have to get to one more piece of business as we like to say, and that is the Damon Bunting Remax Elite Player of the Game. Damon Bunting, consistent top-producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among Western Canadian Remax realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Community-driven. Damon understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Zachticum, one more time. What do you got for us, pal?
Well, I'd love to look at McDavid for the player of the game today, but he always gets it, and I hate trying to give it to the same person. You got to give some love to other players who have shined in a game, and most nights McDavid is the best player on the ice. It'd be a give me pick. I mean, if you didn't know who to pick, that's probably the second guy you're going to or whatever. That's option A 99.9% of the time. But tonight, I feel like Matthias Ekholm deserved the player of the game. He played quite steady on the back end. Sure, he did get pressured a couple times. The other Oilers lines did too, but overall, Ekholm played an amazing game, and that assist that he had to set up Henrique on his very first goal as an Oiler was insane, in my opinion. He had great patience with the puck there, and he was able to stand up and stand tall in the game. And Ekholm has been a fantastic add since he's been picked up by the Oilers last trade deadline. And it's amazing to see that his game almost seems to get better every time I watch him. I love to see Ekholm out on the ice, and you know when you put him out in any situation, he's going to do the job and do it well. So that's why he gets a player of the game for Damon Bunting tonight.
Excellent stuff. I kind of like that one. Good pick, Zachticum, the Viking, getting the job done. I thought he was really solid throughout the entire evening. Nice pass to Henrique, to get him his first goal as an Oiler. Dirty Curdy says, any idea why Hyman didn't start the 4-on-3 power play? I mean, soon-to-be 50-goal scorer who lives in the paint, and the Oilers put Nuge out there who hasn't been threat on the power play. I was wondering the same thing, Dirty Curdy. Maybe the emphasis was on Bouchard and Draisaitl being the trigger men, which they ended up being eventually. It wasn't really clicking, but I thought for sure get Hyman in there. I mean, for what it's worth, I would probably throw Hyman out there just because he could get to the net, create screen traffic. He creates chaos in front of the net. I think that would have worked, but they were going for something. It eventually worked. But Dirty Curdy, I was thinking along the same lines as you. All right, let's see what else we've got. Burgerler says, if you asked me about tonight's game, I'm pretty expletive happy about what Edmonton has added at the deadline. Andrew in London, Ontario, a couple of texts says, I think the Oilers lost every 50-50 puck battle tonight. Andrew, I agree. Still got the 2 points. Ugly, but good teams find ways to win games that they shouldn't. Glad to see Henrique get his first. Andrew from London also adds, guys, remember the Oilers get every team's best game almost every night when preparing and facing McJesus. Another text says, oh, geez, this one a lot coming out of Calgary. Says, TG, can you and Shawn explain the stupidity of having a 4-on-3 power play OT, leaving your best goal scorer? Okay, I went through that. And then this texter says, alcohol, Tom. That's why there was fights. And I thought Pickard played good tonight, but that second goal has to be stopped. I didn't like the first goal, to be honest with you. Shanzi says, maybe the one fan who was beating up the other fan for starting the wave when the game was tied. Shanzi. Oh. Just don't fight each other anymore. Please don't fight each other. Nasty chat. I hope you guys are doing all right. All right. Everything's kind of slowing down over there. The Oilers get the 3-2 win in overtime on a Leon Draisaitl goal to pick up 2 points. 41st win of the season for the Orange and Blue. They will look for another victory on Thursday night against the Buffalo Sabres. Belzy wasn't too worried about Edmonton, says they'll pick it up and they'll be okay. We'll see if he's right. We'll see if Matthias Ekholm and the Oilers learn their lessons. He was our Damon Bunting Remax Elite Player of the Game. 7 o'clock start on Thursday. We get going 5:30 p.m. Hudsons, White Avenue. We have a couple more on locations this month and a few more in April as well. So join us on White Ave on Thursday. The Oilers get the win 3-2 for Shawn Belle and for Zachticum. I'm Tom Gazzola saying thank you as always for tuning in. Whether you watched or you listened, we appreciate you. Have yourselves a great night. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Ciao for now.